Hey folks, Sunny Fahuri, aka Darth Caboose here, and we are here with our first turn of Campaign 2, which is Mission Accomplished, playing on Potent difficulty level of a solo game. So let us get to it. The first thing we need to do is, in addition to how the board is set up here with all the cells and all the cubes and the events in place, this is accurate, and again, if you use the wizard of the vassal module, you'll be able to select this. You also need to roll posture for each of the Shenzhen countries, and this is not a two-player game, so it's just going to be a single roll for each. So we're going to do that right now. This will have a huge impact on how the world's posture on the War on Terror is going to be. You can see at the very start of the game that the world is at... hang on a sec. Why is that soft? Okay, it should be at a 1 of hard to start things off with, but then you should adjust things appropriately. The reason why it starts off at 1 hard is there's the UK, which starts off at hard, Israel is hard, and then the Philippines is soft for a net of 1 hard. But we're going to roll for each of the European countries here. So I'm going to do this rather quickly. I'm going to pick the first 3 to be Spain, France, Italy, and I'm going to assign them from left to right for these 3 die here and just, get going. So we're going to roll 3 die. Okay, and we get a 3, a 4, and a 4, and that corresponds to all of them going soft. So, a little unfortunate. We're going to adjust the postures appropriately. The next ones we're going to do is Benelux, Germany, and Eastern Europe. Same story. We'll assign these 3 die for that posture roll. And they all come out soft. Okay, off to a great start. And finally, we have Scandinavia. We're going to roll a single die for that, and they are also soft. Okay, so a little bit unlucky there, because all of them went soft. Typically, you'd expect 1 or 2 to go hard, but in this case, there are just so many soft that the overwhelming attitude towards how to handle the War on Terror is for the world to go soft. Oh man, I hope that doesn't make too much noise. So just counting up again, we have a total of 2 hard countries, a total of, there's 7 there, and 1 there, 8 soft, so a total of, it's a -6. We're going to have to do some serious changing of positions if we want the world to go back to hard on the War on Terror. Okay, so that is the start. We are also going to create the new card of the hand of cards for each of the players. We're going to do that right now. So the United States starts off in Overstretch. And Overstretch means that they will only draw 7 cards. So we start off with a very small hand of cards. The Jihadist player, on the other hand, starts with 8 cards because their funding is at moderate. So even at the start of the game, we're already at a disadvantage here. 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, that's 7. And then we'll go to the Jihadist player, and we will deal them 8 cards. Alright. Is there anything else we need to worry about? I think that is it, and we are ready to begin the game. Okay. We'll just see how this goes and go from there. So the first action that the Jihadist will play is Viero de Melo Slain. Ooh, okay. So this is a playable Jihadist event because there is a regime change country and it has a cell. Both Iraq and Afghanistan are targets. And the event is as follows. So the event is played, and that'll be it. -1 prestige and block UN nation building. Okay, so we lose another prestige, so we're down to 2. And this blocks a very good US event called UN nation building, which sucks. We're going to go ahead. This says mark and remove, so we're going to go ahead and mark it. Very handy. You can move the card to the board itself and then select place marker. And, it doesn't place it right there. You can drag the marker to the events in play and just have that there. So now we know this event is in play, and we'll keep an eye on that. This guy is then discarded to out of play. Okay, so that was their first card of the game, of turn 1. And their second card is going to be Quagmire. Oh no. So this is a playable non-US event. Play if prestige, medium or low, and a regime change country has a cell. Okay, so the US's prestige is at low, and they do have a country with a cell in it that is a regime change. So this event is going to happen, and that's all that's going to happen, just the event, nothing else. U.S. randomly discards 2 cards. Playable jihadist events on them happen, and then the U.S. posture to soft. Oh my gosh. Just killing us there at the start. So I haven't seen my cards yet, so I think it's safe to say I can pick these 2 leftmost cards, and that should be sufficient for them. So we're going to flip these face up. Okay, so we're going to discard these 2 cards. None of these are jihadist events, so none of them will happen. So these guys are just discarded. And then the U.S.'s posture goes to soft, and this card is discarded. So our posture flips from hard to soft. People are tired of the quagmire, even though we haven't yet done anything, and they just want us to get out of there. Okay, so let's analyze what happened there. We had 2 pretty rough cards just happen there. One of them blocked a very good U.S. event for regime change countries, and the other one flipped us to soft and made us discard a bunch of cards, which is problematic. It is problematic. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. It means we'll have fewer cards to play. But on the flip side, we are now soft on the War on Terror. And as you saw from the opening with the Shenzhen countries, the world is also soft on the War on Terror. Even though we're still embroiled in 2 regime change operations in Iraq and Afghanistan, we now no longer have a negative penalty in the GWAT relations, which is good. So, something to be happy about. The only other problem that we need to contend with is the U.S.'s prestige, which is currently at a low. And low is no good because having that negative modifier there is problematic. And it's something that needs to be fixed. Oh gosh, I hope that card doesn't make things too loud. Alright, so let's go ahead and take over with our turn now. We're going to play our 2 cards. We're going to flip our cards over. And notice that we have a lot of really bad cards to contend with. Okay. Mass Turnout is really, really interesting because that allows you to bring the governance up 1 level to good. And that's something we could possibly play. So, one of the key things, this is something that we probably haven't covered yet if you've been watching my video so far. One of the key issues with regime change countries is that when you invade an Islamist ruled country, you're doing what's known as regime change, and some things happen. But the key point of a regime change country is you cannot do a war of ideas in a regime change country unless you have 5 more troops than cells. So, the jihadists are able to sort of pin the United States down in a regime change country by keeping cells there. And that makes it very difficult for the U.S. to improve the governance, because when the country's governance gets to good, then the regime change ends, and then the U.S. troops don't have to worry about that restriction anymore. Another restriction to worry about with regime change countries is that well, first of all, the Islamists can auto-recruit there just fine. They don't have to worry about die rolling there. So they can just recruit there, as long as they have a cell or a cadre there. And also, what was I trying to say? It was something about the... it was the War of Ideas. Oh yeah, of course. The United States troops cannot deploy out of a regime change country. I mean, they can, but they have to leave at least 5 troops themselves. So right now you can see we don't meet the condition in either Iraq or Afghanistan. So they're stuck there. They cannot leave those countries. They're committed to the regime change. Now, one thing we can do as the United States is, as if we're soft on the war on terror, if our posture is soft, is we can withdraw from that country. We can sort of pick up and leave, and sort of leave the country to its fate. Admittedly, it's a risky thing to do, but if things are going so badly, sometimes it's just the only thing you can do. Anyway, looking at our hand here, I can see there is one card I just do not want to play no matter what, and that card is Martyrdom Operation. This card is absolutely no. So I do not even want to think about playing it. That card's probably going to have to be held on to. Mass Turnout is great, though. I want to see that card getting played. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play Al-Ittihad al-Islami for my first card. And that's going to be this card to out of play, and the event will happen. And I'm going to go ahead and plonk a cell. We're going to just do the event. We'll place a cell in Somalia, and then discard this card to out of play. So a cell has been placed in Somalia, which this is a new game, so it's untested, unmarked. We'll have to test it. And to do that, we roll a die. We get a 3, which means the country comes out as poor. Okay, so that was a 1-op card. I'm going to put that card into reserves. So we have 1 operation point in reserves. For my next card, I'm going to play Pirates. Play if Somalia or Yemen under Islamist rule. They're not, so this event does not fire. And I am going to combine those 2 reserves with this one here to perform a disrupt action in Iraq. Okay, so a disrupt action is a place where you have troops or they're an ally, and you are basically trying to go after the cells. So when you do disrupt action, you select 2 of the cells, and then they go from a sleeper state, which is face down, to active. So I'm setting these guys to active. The key thing why I'm doing this, though, is because whenever you disrupt with troops, you gain a prestige, and I'm slowly trying to build back our prestige to higher levels. So that was our 2 actions. There are no plots happening, so that is the end of that. And it is now the jihadists' turn to play. Sistani. Play if a regime mix... if a Shia mixed regime change country has a cell. Improve governance. So this is a playable U.S. event because there are 2 Shia mixed regimes with cells in them. So this can fire. And this is going to be plotted with if we follow the flowchart for the jihadist bot. Okay, so we're going to be doing some plotting. So where are the plots going to happen? As much as possible in the U.S.? No. Okay, then is prestige low? Yeah, prestige is low. Our prestige is at 3. So we skip over the stuff with troops. Is the GWAP penalty greater than 0? No, it's not. It is actually 0 because the world is soft and we have also gone soft on the war on terror. Okay, then they're going to plot in countries of the United States posture. So this is a 3-ops card. There is only one country where there is a cell that is at soft, and that's the Philippines. So he is going to actively plot there. And we're just going to go ahead and do that right now, because even though you kind of wait to see where they plot and then you place the plots, in this case, I think we can safely just put them out there. So we're going to go ahead and put that down there, and then roll a die. And it comes out at 2, which sucks, which means a plot is placed there. But don't forget, we're playing on a higher difficulty level. So we're not getting 1 plot placed there. We're getting 2 plots placed there. Yeah, you thought this was going to be easy. But it's not. So 2 plots are placed into the Philippines. Okay, so that was our first plot. So that's all of the soft countries. And we'll keep going. Okay, so there's no more countries with the U.S.'s posture. In countries with aid, there's no aid on the board, so we can skip that. Okay, then we ask, is the jihadist funding at 9? No, it is at 5, so it's not at 9. Okay, then we want to plot in non-Muslim countries, then Muslim countries, and then Muslim or Iran. So I believe Iran is sort of lumped into that Muslim category. So there are no other cells in non-Muslim countries, so you're going to plot in Muslim or Iran countries. But there are multiple possibilities. If you look at the plot priorities, it says if you're doing of ops, you want to do fair countries, then good countries, and then poor countries. Okay, so that would be... so we have a total of 2 ops remaining, and we're going to be plotting in fair countries because they want to get funding. There's a total of 4 cells in fair countries. That is 1 in Syria, 1 in Iran, 1 in Pakistan, and 1 in Indonesia, Malaysia. So they're going to randomly pick between these 2. Between these 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to assign a 1, 2, 3, 4 for a single die roll, and we'll just keep rolling until we get 2 results. So here we go. That's a 4, so Indonesia will be plotting. We'll flip them over for that. And we get a 2, which is Iran. So 2 plots will be attempted to be placed in Iran and Indonesia. And we're going to go ahead and roll 2 die. The first one will be for Iran, the second one for Indonesia. And they both come out 3, which is a failure. They have to get 2 or less. So thankfully, nothing bad there. Okay. So that was their first card. Alright, now we have our second card. Oh my gosh. Okay. So now we have to do the United States election. This is fun. So the U.S. election is a unique card. It's a card that whenever the card is used for operations or is discarded, the event still happens. One cannot preclude the occurrence of the United States election. So right after all the quagmire and the plots being placed in the Philippines, it's time to elect a new president. And we'll see how this goes. So this is a playable non-US event, and it's an event that does not play cells. So this event will be played first, and then the jihadists will have their fair shake of free operations. So what does the event do? We're going to roll the United States posture, and then if the GWAP penalty is 0, we gain a prestige. Otherwise, we lose a prestige. So we'll do things one at a time. Now, you may know that whenever you roll for posture in a country, it's a 1 to 4 it goes soft, 5 to 6 it goes hard. For the United States, though, whenever you roll posture for the U.S., they are actually at a 50-50. It's a 1 to 3 is soft, 4 to 6 is hard. Republicans or Democrats are equally likely to win. So we're going to roll a die and see what happens here. Okay, so we come out soft. We get a 2, which corresponds to soft on the posture table, which means we don't change, we stay at soft. The card was then, if the GWAP penalty is 0, we gain a prestige. Well, the penalty is 0 because the world is still soft and we're soft, so it's all good. We gain a prestige. So it's nice. It helps us out a bit. And then that is the end of that card. Okay. Next up is going to be the event. No, sorry, we finished the event. Now we're going to do the operations. Man, that tractor outside is annoying. It's distracting me. Okay, so operations, we consult the 3 main questions listed in the event or ops section. Can the jihadists perform a major jihad? Now, we have to remember, we're playing on the potent difficulty level. So, we only need 3 more cells than troops. So right now, like, Pakistan is 2 away from performing a major jihad, as is Indonesia. I guess, and Saudi Arabia and Somalia. So, but still, the answer to that is no. Also, our troops are blocking these cells, even though there's 3 there, so they can't do anything there. Okay, is a jihad possible in good or fair? The answer to that is yes. Jihad is possible in good and fair. And in fact, there are 3 cells in 3 fair countries, and this is a 3 ops card. So all 3 of these cells are going to jihad in those countries. So we're going to go ahead and flip these guys to active, and we're going to roll a die for all 3 of these. This is the leftmost, this is the middle die, and this is the rightmost. So we'll roll a die. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Syria succeeds, which degrades the governance 1 level. Pakistan succeeds, which degrades the governance 1 level. But Indonesia fails, which sends the cell back to the funding track. Wow. Action-packed dynamite turn, folks. That is the jihadists' 2 cards. Okay. It's back to us with our 2 cards. So, oh my goodness, we have a bunch of plots happening in the Philippines. This is scary, scary stuff. Okay. So, we are at risk of losing a lot of prestige if our troops stay put in the Philippines. Thankfully, they don't have to stay put. They can go somewhere else. And they may just do that. So, here's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I think this is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and play Martyrdom Operation for the 3 operation points. And I want the event to happen first. I want the Islamists to replace their cell with the plot. Just get that out of the way. Get this really nasty card out of the way. And so this event is happening, so we consult the chart, and we go, okay, well, where are these guys going to plot in? And if you follow along, we'll just do that right now. We say, okay, as much as possible in the U.S., no. Then is prestige low? No, our prestige is now actually medium. Okay. Is Abu Sayyaf an effect on our more cells than troops in the Philippines? No, they're not, because we have more troops and cells there. Okay, then it'll do it in countries with troops. Okay, there are multiple possibilities for this. There's Iraq, Afghanistan, and the Philippines. So when you get to the point of, okay, well, we have an event that's placing these plots, where do these plots go? We have to consult the plot priorities. And this is an event placing the plots. So we actually place it first in good countries, then in fair countries, and then in poor countries. I think you can see where I'm going with this. So this guy is going to happen in the Philippines, because this is the only fair country these guys are poor. So this guy is replaced with a Kadia marker, and 2 more plots come out in the Philippines. And so now you're thinking, Senny, what are you doing? You're just committing suicide in the Middle East. You're tanking your prestige back down to 1. No, I'm not. I'm being smart, because I know a fight I can't win when I see it. And these guys in the Philippines are going to skedaddle out of there with those 3 operation points. So, if you remember, we played the Jihadist, the Martyrdom Operation card. That was a 3 ops card. So we're going to use the 3 ops to deploy these troops out of the Philippines and into Afghanistan. So these guys are going to go, yeah, I can't deal with that, goodbye, and these guys are gone. Now, remember, the order of what happened there is such that we don't lose prestige from the Abu Sayyaf event in the Philippines, because the troops were there when they were placed, but when they left, then the plots were already there, so nothing happens. Now, I'll admit, the jihadists are going to get their funding probably back up to... it will happen. They'll get it back up to 9. But, I mean, with the cards we have and with the situation we have, there's no going about it. The best I can do is try to keep my prestige safe to try and make the final push later. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to play Pakistani Offensive for the 3 ops card. I wonder if I should play it for the event to remove Fatah. I can never tell. I feel like disrupting in the Philippines is not worth it because... alerting in the Philippines is not worth it. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and... yeah, I think removing Fatah is just not worth it. I mean, we can. Fatah prevents us from disrupting in the Pakistan. Actually, that might be important. You know what? I'm going to do something a little different because nothing's really changed yet. I'm actually going to move the troops from the troops that left the Philippines to Pakistan instead. I think that might be better. And I'm going to go ahead and play Pakistani Offensive and use it for the event to remove the Fatah event. And Fatah basically allows the jihadists to act in Pakistan with no consequences because disrupt is not allowed there unless regime change occurs. And I want to keep Pakistan safe. I know I already have 3 countries to worry about, but, you know, there you go. Okay, that is our 2 cards, and we are done. The plots in the Philippines go off. We're going to just go ahead and reveal these, and we see there's a 3, a 2, and a 1. So when plots go off in non-Muslim countries, you add the number on the plot to funding. And you can see here that there are just so many plots that the funding just goes up to 9. No questions asked. However, there is another consequence to all these plots going off in the Philippines. They are going to reassess their posture on the War on Terror 4 times. 4 times! We're going to roll a die 4 times and see what happens. So we're going to do this one at a time, and we'll just keep track of the last result when it happens. I mean, you could just technically ignore the first 3 and then do the last one, but, you know, let's do it fun this way. So the first die roll comes as a 5. That means they're going to go hard. Second one is 6. They're hard. 3 is soft. And then 4 is soft. So when they were like, oh my gosh, we should do something about this. The second time, they're like, oh my gosh, why aren't we doing something about this? And then the last 2 times, they're like, oh man, this can't be the way to go. We should try negotiating or doing something else. So these guys are all going back to the plot deck. Alright, so that was the plots. And now we're back to their cards. They're going to have 2 rounds of cards, which sucks. WMD, Libyan WMD. Play a Libya adversary, US hard, and no... So this is a non-playable US event because we are soft, we're not hard. So this will just be used for operation points. Okay, so we consult 3 questions. Is a major jihad possible? No. Is the jihad possible in good or fair? No, because there are no cells in fair or good Muslim countries. Iran does not count as that. So that is ignored. Okay, are there cells available? Yes. Well, they got themselves a bunch of funding, so that's going to happen. So they're going to recruit. Okay, so recruiting will occur. So the first question we ask for where to recruit is in a regime change country where troops minus cells is greater than or equal to 5. Now, none of the regime change countries meet that criteria because if we evaluate troops minus cells in both of them, we see Iraq is 3 and Afghanistan is 4. 3 and 4 are not greater than or equal to 5, so we do not meet that requirement. The next one is in Islamist rule with cells less than 2 times the ops. That is... there are no Islamist rule countries. I think that's the one advantage the US has. There are no Islamist rule countries, so nothing there. Okay, then the next one is in a non-Islamist rule, non-regime change country with the highest recruit success rate. And there's quite a few possibilities. We see there's the Philippines. Even though Philippines is a fair country, they recruit on a 3. So that is a thing. There's Somalia, there's Saudi Arabia. So there's quite a few possibilities. We have to consult the priorities to see how do we select from these possibilities. And the first one is besieged regime. So basically the answer is then Somalia, because Somalia is the only country with a besieged regime and it has a cell there. So they're going to recruit 3 times in Somalia. And remember, we are playing on the potent difficulty level, which includes attractive. So every recruit success places not 1, but 2 cells in Somalia. So we're going to roll a die, 3 die, because this is a 3 ops card. They're getting all the 3 ops cards for some reason. And they're going to place in Somalia. So here we go. Okay, so we see a 4 and a 5, that's 2 failures, but they have a 1, which is a success. So 2 cells makes their way down to Somalia. Alright, that is the end of that card, and we are going to move on to their second card. Martyrdom Operation. Play if a non-Islamist rule country has a cell. Oh my gosh, more plots going off. Replace the cell with any 2 plot markers. Okay, so this is a playable jihadist event. So the event happens and that's it. But this is a very unfortunate event to have happen. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and consult our table here to see where the plots occur. So, US, no. Is the prestige low? No. The prestige is at medium. Okay, so is Abu Sayyaf, there's no cells in the Philippines, so we don't do it there. And then we go in countries with troops. So there's Afghanistan, there's Pakistan, there's Iraq. Actually, yeah, that works. There's Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. Okay, so we have to pick randomly between these countries. So we're going to go ahead and do a die roll. So it's a 1 to 2 will be Iraq, 3 to 4 will be Afghanistan, 5 to 6 will be Pakistan. So we'll roll a die here, and we get a 5. That's Pakistan. So this cell is going to be replaced with a cadre, and he is going to place 2 plots into Pakistan. Oh my gosh, we're just playing run away from the bombs. All right, so that is the first. Actually, that was the second card of the jihadist play. Okay, it's our turn. I just can't seem to get a good break, can we? So, I could move those troops away. But this is a really, really powerful event. And I want to keep it in my hand. Ideally, play it next turn. And have that go there. So, am I willing to take the 2 prestige loss for my troops being there? And I think the answer to that's going to have to be yes. I'm going to have to leave them there. I could try moving them away, but if they get more plots going off, then I may as well just bottom myself out to 1 prestige. Okay, so it's going to happen. So I have only 1 card left, and as the United States, you're always allowed to hold on to your last card, and that is exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to skip over my turn. I'm going to have you guys go again. So the resolve plots happen. We'll reveal these just for the sake of looking at them. There's 2 operations each. Typically, if this was anything but a poor country, then you would be placing... what am I saying? You would be rolling the die and trying to reduce the governance on by the number of... So you roll the number of die equal to the plot number on the plots, and you try to reduce the governance, and it succeeds on a less or equal to the governance roll. But all this does is increase their funding, which is already at 9, and it dings us our prestige. So we lose a prestige for each one. We are down 2 prestige to 2. Didn't say it was going to be easy. Okay, So that was our 2 cards. It's now the Jihad's turn with their 2 cards. Oh my gosh. They're going to play Oil Price Spike. Okay. So this is a card that's going to be used for the event. Select, reveal, and draw a card other than Oil Price Spike from the discard pile. Okay. Oil Price Spike is an interesting card because this is a card that is played by the Jihadist bot. But what they do is they take any of the 3... So any Jihadist cards that are 3 operations values, randomly takes 1 from them and puts it into their hand. Oil Price Spike also has the extra effect, although it's kind of relevant this game, of giving all oil-producing countries +1 resource. That is, any country that has a little the oil derrick or the pump jack, I guess, in the top right, is an oil-producing country. For this round, they have a +1 resource. Remember, this only matters for the resource victory condition. So if there are any Islamist rule or good countries, I would care. But since it looks like that's not going to happen, it stays... I'm not going to mark it. I'm just going to leave it be. But they are going to draw that card we talked about. So, very handy for the Vassal module. They have created a button here with a little 3 and a green number, which is the Jihadist 3-op discard window. You can click on that and you can see a stack of cards. All of the 3-ops cards have gone here. So they are going to take a card, you could just take 1 from random, and they will add it to their hand. So this guy is, we're going to use him, but this guy is there, and we should not know what it is. I don't know why it flips it face up. It's a little unfortunate. But that is that. They got Martyrdom Operation again. That sucks. So that is a neutral card, but we're not done yet. They still have 3 operation points to use with this neutral card. Okay, so we asked ourselves the 3 questions. And the first question is a major jihad success possible? And the answer to this question is yes. And the reason why is because Somalia now has the necessary number of cells to perform a major jihad. Remember, for this difficulty setting of potent, you need 3 more cells than troops. So they have all the cells they need to successfully perform their major jihad. So when you perform a major jihad, much like a minor jihad, you flip all the cells over to active, and then you roll a number of die equal to the operations. In this case, it's 3, so we roll 3 die. Okay, successes count towards converting the country towards Islamist rule. Now, typically, you need to have 2 successes to convert a country to Islamist rule. However, if a country is marked with besieged regime, like it is here, then you need 1 fewer success to succeed, or just 1 in this case. Any failures would still send cells to the funding track, but it looks like they all succeeded. They all got 3s, and the country's at 3. So this country now converts to Islamist rule. So what happens when a country converts to Islamist rule? Well, there's a little bit of a thing here that you follow. The first thing that you do is you shift the governance to adversary and set it to Islamist rule. So if you right-click on a country, there's a handy shift Islamist rule. So we do that. The next thing we do is we would remove all besieged regime markers. So this guy is gone. If the country was regime changed, it would go away. Any aid markers too. We add resources of the country to funding. So this is a 1-resource country. We add it to funding, but it's already maxed out. It's at 1. And then finally, if there were troops in the country when this occurred, then the U.S.'s prestige would go immediately to 1. But we were smart and realized that Somalia was a lost cause, so we said, no thank you, and left it at that. Okay, so the Islamists are now at 1 resource. Wow. Where's the good... There it is. Okay, so there we go. So the Islamists are now at 1 resource of the 6 needed to win the game. Wow. This is a little unfortunate because at the end of the tournament, we will be losing a prestige for there being an Islamist rule country. So that sucks. What you gonna do though? Okay, that was their first card, and now we have to do the second card, which is, well, as you know, Martyrdom Operation. Oh, fun, fun, fun. Okay, so this is a plot. This is going to attempt to place 2 plots in the country, and we are going to evaluate where this is going to happen. So, as much as possible, U.S., no. Is the prestige low? Yes. The prestige is low. So we skip that part. Is the GWOT penalty greater than 0? No, it's 0. At least we have that going for us. So we're going to plot in countries with the U.S.'s posture, but there are none available. Okay, in countries with aid. No, there are no countries with aid, so they skip that. Then, is funding equal to 9? Yes, funding is equal to 9. So instead, they would radicalize. Okay, now I could be mistaken here, but it doesn't say anything about that. So this is an event that places plots. So you cannot necessarily radicalize with it, I think. It's either that or like you treat the event as unplayable. Maybe that's how you interpret it. You know, I'm going to look at the rules real quick. So apologies while I look at this. Martyrdom operation. Martyrdom operation. For plot placement, use plot. If radicalization results, use the card's value for radicalization and ignore the event. I'm looking at 9.4.2.1. Okay, so I guess the way to do this is we're going to not do the martyrdom operation. We're going to do radicalization instead, which is okay. I've seen worse. Okay, so let's go ahead and follow radicalization for 3 operation points. Okay, the first operation point automatically places 1 cell into a random country if the track has any cells. Okay, the track has cells, so we're going to radicalize the first one, which is rolling a 10 on the black die, consulting the... I think it was a 4 and a 4, yeah. Consulting the results and placing a cell in that country. So a 4 and a 4 is Egypt. So 1 cell is placed in Egypt. Now, note that even though we're playing on a difficulty setting that when recruits occur, you place 2 cells instead of 1, radicalization is not a recruit, it's a placement of cells. Consequently, we only place 1 cell when that occurs. So we're going to test Egypt. It's going to go out to poor. That's unfortunate, so they stay at poor. Okay, that was the first of our 3 ops. The second one will automatically travel 1 cell by the flowchart. Okay, so we're going to look at our travel, and we're going to look at we're doing radicalize, so we're going to do the travel we're going to start from the second box. So this one says, a poor country where major jihad possible if plus 2 cells. Okay, now this is a bit different. Remember, it only takes 3 cells to conduct a major jihad, 3 more cells and troops. So any country with a single cell is a possible candidate. And I believe in this case we have 3 possibilities here. We have Egypt, we have Saudi Arabia, and then we have Syria. Okay, so which one do we pick? I mean, Iraq and Afghanistan they have a cell, but there are more troops in cells, so that doesn't meet the requirement there. So we have multiple possibilities. We consult the travel to priorities, and it says Pakistan, of which none of these are, and then the highest resource. So we're tied between Egypt and Saudi Arabia because Syria is at 2, and these are both 3. So we pick randomly from these 2. So 1 to 3 will be Egypt, 4 to 6 will be Saudi Arabia. So we pick Egypt. So a cell is going to travel to Egypt. Okay, so where is the cell going to come from? We know it's going to Egypt. Where is it going to come from? Islamist rule with cells greater than ops? No, this is a 3 ops card, yet again. That was the mark, yeah. So it can't be Somalia because they have 3 cells. Regime change country with greater than 5 cells. No, they only have 3 and 1, so it doesn't work. Then an adjacent country. No, I don't see any adjacent countries. No, there are no cells adjacent to Egypt, so that doesn't work. And then random, including the destination. Okay, so we have gotten to the random box. This is the first time I've done that. So I know there's a section about how to handle random. Random country. If you end up with random, specify, select. Okay. If there are 6 or fewer options, you roll the die. Okay. Closest eligible. Yep. Okay, so this is just a way of kind of doing what I've already been doing, which is how to assign things randomly. However, even though this is random, you still actually consult the priorities box first. And if you look at the priorities box, you can see if it has active cells and then not another destination. So we are actually going to be looking at all the countries that have active cells and then automatically traveling it to Egypt. Okay, so there are a total of 4 countries with active cells: Syria, Iraq, Somalia, and Iran. So we're going to roll a single die, 1, 2, 3, 4, and determine where the cell comes from. So we get a 3, that's Somalia. So cell automatically travels from Somalia to Egypt. Okay, That's the flowchart used for that. That was our second operation point for radicalization. The next one would place a plot if funding was less than 9. Unfortunately, funding is 9. So we have to do the unfortunate third operation with the last part of radicalization. Each remaining op worsens a random good or fair country one level of governance. Ay, 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 ay. Okay, so we have 3 possibilities here. We have Central Asia, the Gulf States, and Indonesia. So we have 3 possibilities. We're going to assign a 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6 on a single die roll. And we come up with Indonesia, which goes to poor. Wow. Wow, that really sucks. Okay, so that was the Jihadist 2 cards. It's up to us now. I'm going to hold on to this card yet again and wait for the Jihadists to go. So they skip over, it comes back to the Jihadists. I don't think there's any plots on the board, yeah. So the Jihadists are going to have their 1 card. And it's going to be FSB. If Jihadist has loose nuke... Okay, so this is a playable US event, even though the effect would not really fire. But it is considered playable. So, I think it is. Let me... Okay, so... Oops. Not that. So this is going to be plotted with. So we have 2 ops to plot with. And once again, we consult the table. Is prestige low? Yes. Is jail penalty? Yeah. I think we come to the same conclusion of radicalization. Wow. Yeah. Okay. I think we will just radicalize again. Yeah, if we follow this properly. Okay. So there's 2 operation points for radicalization, and hang on a sec. Okay. So if I cannot plot with an event card, then what happens there? Plotting. Okay, no, of course, this is we're plotting for operations, so we do radicalize. So we're gonna go ahead and roll 2 die. We get a 4 and a 1, which corresponds to Morocco. Morocco gets a cell, and they have to be tested. They come out soft, par for the course, I suppose. Okay, that was the first of their 2 operation points, and now for the second one, they are going to travel automatically. Okay. So when we do the travel, we consult the second box of the travel part because we are radicalizing. Poor country where major jihad possible if +2 cells. Okay, so again, we have a total of 4 possibilities, I believe. Yeah, we have a new one from Morocco. So we have Morocco, Egypt, Syria, and Saudi Arabia as possibilities there. So we're going to roll a single die, and we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And, oh, no, sorry, oops, I made a mistake. We have to do the priorities, which is to look at countries with the highest resource. So that eliminates Morocco and Syria. We have Egypt and Saudi Arabia. So 50-50, 1 to 3, 4 to 6. Let's do this. So cells going to go to Saudi Arabia. Okay. So where's it going to come from? Islamist rule with cells greater than ops? Nope. Regime change with greater than 5 cells? Nope. Adjacent country. Okay. So there is a cell in Iraq that is going to make its way to Saudi Arabia. And of course we pick from the active cells before the sleeper ones because sleeper ones are kind of safe, the active ones are at risk. So they're slowly making their way towards these countries. This game could be over a lot faster than we think. And it's our turn. So that was their cards. Oh my gosh, that was a big action sequence. And it's our turn. Do we want to play this card for the event? I think we do. I think we want to play it now because it might distract them and slow them down a bit. So I'm going to play this for the 3 operation points, and I am going to improve the governance. I think it was play if there's a regime change country, improve its governance 1 level. I am going to improve Afghanistan's governance to fair. Now, ideally, you want to use this card. Actually, you know what? I may just want to hold on to this card. I'm flip flopping a bit. I'm doing the Romney thing, but I'm only doing it because I'm just like, okay, I'm in a really bad spot. How do I fix this? How do I get out of it? And I think the only way I can fix this is by completing my mission in one of these regime change countries and then having troops available to fly to these other at-risk countries. So I think I'm going to leave that. I'm going to hold that card in my hand for the next round of cards. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay. We are done with this round of insanity. So this guy goes back to 1. And let's do the end of turn stuff. So jihadist funding goes down by 1. Then the U.S.'s prestige drops by 1 if there's there's Somalia, so it goes down by 1. But it will go back up by 1 because the world completely agrees with us on how to handle a war on terror. So we have that going for us. We remove all lapsing events. I think oil price spike was there, but again, it's irrelevant. And reserves to 0, yep. And then we deal new cards. Okay, so the jihadists are at ample funding, so they're going to get themselves 9 cards. And then the United States player will draw 7 cards. Now, the U.S. already has 1 card, but that does not count towards that limit. They just draw 7 new cards. I'm just going to flip this guy and then flip them all over. And oh my gosh. Another martyrdom operation! Ah! That's really sucky. Okay, so that is the end of turn 1. Oh my gosh. Let's do a recap of what happened here. So, we had a bunch of martyrdom. We had like 3? 1 from the U.S. and 2 from the jihadists happen. Or maybe was it 2? Or I don't know. And our prestige got dunked down, although, I mean, admittedly, we only ended up at 2. So there's that. The U.S. was the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, even though it was just the year 2003, it was already considered a quagmire. And the U.S. went soft, and we lost a bunch of cards, which was a big deal, because losing those cards means that you can't play with them. So we lost a lot of our operating power that turn. And then we had the Philippines go off in like a plume of smoke, and that brought the jihadist funding back up to maximum. And then we saw Somalia fall under the jihadists' control. Oh my gosh, this is going to be almost impossible. But you know what? Have I seen worse? I don't know. We'll have to find out. Okay, let's evaluate the countries here. So we have a total of 2 countries at fair, and then a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 countries at poor. This is scary. We are 5 countries away from losing the game if our prestige dunks down to 1. So, yeah. Alright. This is going to be the end of turn 1, and we will continue with turn 2 next time. Thank you all for watching. I hope this has been entertaining, and I'll see you all next time. Have a great day, folks.